It's Tuesday morning, carrying on from where my last post finished off, which was Monday. It's the 25th of November. Beautiful day today. Chilly. No real frost, but cold. I am heading off to have a look in Poundland for candle-based stuff to make my best friend's birthday present. But if I can't find what I want there, there's also TK Maxx and probably a couple of other places I can look at. So let's go and have a look and see what we can find. So about this time last year, I was cleaning up one of my business jobs and I was emptying the bins, and in one of the bins was a plant, and they have a continuous parade of potted plants come and go in this building because no one looks after them properly. They get the wrong types of plants, and in the winter the building is really warm and all these plants just curl up and die basically. So I took a couple of cuttings off this plant that was in the bin and took them home and planted them, and it was a Christmas cactus. And so I put them in soil and nothing really happened, and then in the spring I noticed these little buds had started to appear on the leaves of the cuttings, and it was new leaves developing. And so over the course of this year it has been slowly growing. They're not really fast growers, but it's ended up being faster than I thought. And last week this happened. It's flowered, and I'd seen flower buds developing, and then last week they started to open. How beautiful is that? So that's about a year's worth of growth from a cutting. I'm really happy about that. Isn't that beautiful? I like rescuing plants and doing stuff like that. It's so pretty. So that's another for my collection. I have an Easter cactus, which I've had for probably 3 or 4 years now, which was a cutting that was given to me by my best friend. That blooms in, it's supposed to be an Easter cactus, but it always flowers in May, June time, and that has bright red flowers and it's absolutely covered in flowers. So we have some flowering things, and yeah, I like to rescue bits of plants. There's another plant that I rescued. Again, it was a cutting off of a cactus that was at that same office, and it was just like a stick, like a long leaf, like a long cactus leaf with spikes all over it, and I stuck it in some soil and it's taken. And again, that's growing. It doesn't do very much. I don't know what it's actually supposed to do, but I like to give everything a second opportunity. Where plants are concerned, if I can save it, I will. So that's my little happy story for today. So yeah, so I've come back from doing my little Poundland trip. Really frustrating. Couldn't really find anything I wanted. It's really frustrating at Christmas. It's not even Christmas, we're still in November. And you go into a shop where you would normally be able to get things that you need, like crafting stuff, things like that I need. And everything has gone. And everything bar essentials, like, you know, bathroom and food and stuff like that, everything has been replaced with Christmas. Like, all people want to shop for now is Christmas. So I can't really buy anything else other than Christmas stuff. So I'm having to go online and go onto eBay. So the candle that I want to buy, I'm going to have to get on eBay. And I want to get those, you know, those glass pebbles, those the multicoloured, where you can get them different colours. I want to get some of those to go in the base to put the candle in. And I can't get any of those either. They were definitely there a couple of months ago in Poundland. So I'm going to have to buy those online as well, which is really frustrating. But I've started decorating the jar today. Not entirely sure how to do it, but I'm going to keep going with what I've got, and hopefully it'll turn into something. I've got a couple of weeks to make it. I'm not seeing her until I think it's the 11th or 12th of December. So I've got about 2 weeks to go. So got to get your skates on when you're making stuff in winter, because it takes ages for things like glue and varnish and things to dry. So I'm going to make this candle jar, and I'll show you as I go along with that one. Tuesday evening, and I decided to go and do my Wednesday clean on Tuesday instead just for a change. I can do it Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on when I'm available. And I decided that instead of doing 2 cleans tomorrow, I didn't want to do that. So I went and did it tonight. So I went to Morrison's first. I don't usually go on a Tuesday, so I didn't know what it was going to be like. And I didn't go yesterday. And I bought some stuff. So I spent £2.59. And here is what I got. I went mental in the bakery aisle today because that's pretty much the only place there was anything to buy. So we have crumpets. Pack of 4. These are Morrison's crumpets, but they're not the Saver ones. They look like that. These were 45p down to 12p. Pack of 4 there. They can go in the freezer. New York bagels. Don't often see a New York bagel. These are sesame, and I've got 1 avocado left, so this for my lunch tomorrow when I get back from my morning clean will be really nice. These were £1.35 down to 34p. And again, all this stuff can go in the freezer as well, so none of it goes to waste. Pitters. These are Morrison's wholemeal pitters. These were 50p down to 13p, and I got 2 of those because kept in the freezer, these are really handy. Sometimes I get the wraps if they're there, and I've still got a few wraps in the freezer, but these are also quite handy as well. You can stuff these and make a really nice dinner or a lunch on the go. So I got 2 of those. There were also some pain au chocolat, again, Morrison's. These were £2 down to 50p. Yeah, 50p, that was good. Some caramel bites. I wasn't going to pick these up, but then, £2.95 down to 74p. I have nothing in for dessert type food at the moment. I'm afraid that the custard creams that I bought yesterday have now gone. See, so I don't buy this stuff. You don't buy it because it goes. And then one other thing I bought, which is not something I've seen before, it's one of these tubs. It's the only thing in the refrigerated section that looked worth having a go. This is, unfortunately, I've managed to crush the packaging on the way home. This was £2.50 down to 63p. It's called Christmas Coleslaw. I don't know what this is going to taste like, so I'm going to try it now. I'm always up for a new taste if there is one. It looks fun, but I don't know what's in it. So it's very red, like cranberries. So I can get a bit without dropping it everywhere. So it looks like that. It's very red. I mean, it's not Christmassy, but it's nice. What's it got in it? It tastes like it's got raisins or sultanas or something in it, and coleslaw and red cabbage. It'll be nice enough in a stir fry. I'm not gonna knock that for 63p. So that's everything for today. Lots of stuff to go in the freezer. I'm going to go and get this on the spreadsheet. I'll put up there what I would have spent if I bought all of it for full price, and how much I've saved by buying it on yellow stickers, so you can see what I've saved on this lot today. Most of this is going in the freezer. I've got quite a lot of space in the freezer, but I've not been putting a lot in, so there's quite a lot of room, because I haven't been getting as many yellow stickers because there's not been so much out there. Anyway, that's the end of Tuesday. I am going to be watching Martin Lewis at 8 o'clock, I think, and that's it. It's a chilly morning, and I want to say this before it goes out of my head, because it will, once I start doing things. So last night I did something I've never done before. I was watching Martin Lewis's money saving expert program, and he was talking about the energy bills and the price cap, and that the price cap is going up again in January. I think it's something like 5.1%, and then it's going to go up again in April. And I thought, well, my direct debit is now up to £50. Maybe I should, let's have a look for fixes. I've looked for fixes before and not had any luck, and there's reasons for that. So I am registered with the Money Saving Expert Energy Club, Energy Saving Club, and you put in all your details for your supplier, who you're with at the moment, and then it'll just find the best deals for you. And then you can choose if or not you want to. So I've looked at these before. Previously, so not so much this year, because my direct debit is now £50, it was £40. So when I was looking at deals, they weren't really much of a deal because no one was getting me more than £1 below £40 in direct debits per month because the price cap was lower. And one of the other problems that I have had is that most of the deals that I was seeing, so I think I last looked for a deal at the beginning of the year, and at that point all the good deals you had to have a smart meter for, and I don't have a smart meter and I don't want a smart meter. Smart meter would only benefit me for getting a deal. It won't help me save energy, and it will probably give me a lot of energy anxiety because I am one of those people who worries about how much energy they use, and I've got everything down to the lowest point that I can in terms of usage. And if I've got a dial sitting there, a little box sitting in the corner telling me how much I use every time I flick a switch, that's going to give me a bit of a breakdown, I think. It's no good me having it. I will fixate on the numbers and it won't be good for me. So I know that I probably shouldn't have one. So I went on to the website and I updated my usage because it had my energy provider in there, but the usage had changed. I was using slightly less than I was the last time I input the numbers. So I put the numbers in and it gave me a list of all the providers, the cheapest. And the cheapest one that ticked all the boxes for me was a 1-year fix with Eon Next. And so I'm paying £50 a month direct debit at the moment. So I had a look at this deal. And one of the things that worried me about taking out a fix was always, will I be able to stay as long as the fix? So very often the fixes were like halfway through the year. And I thought, well, what happens if my tenancy ends? Because the energy exit fees per energy are quite high. So on this one, it's £50 per energy if I end the fix early. However, you can take a fix with you to your next property, and usually it'll just carry on because you're keeping the fix. So I had a look at this one, and I put all my details in, and it's giving me a monthly direct debit of this. So I've done it. I did it. I started to switch. And I started the switch, and then I went on, registered with the website, and I downloaded the app, and now I can see what's going on. And I've been on a variable tariff without Fox forever, ever since I've been with them. So there's no exit fees, there's no problem with that. And so I'll get the cash back from Outfox for whatever credit's left after they take their final payment, which I've got £67 cashed up with them at the moment. The bill will probably be about 30, something like that, because I'm halfway through the month. So I might get about 30 quid back. And then because I've done the switch through Money Saving Expert, I get £20 cash back when my transition from one to the next is done. Now it says it takes 3 to 6 months for that to come through. I've heard that before with other things, like with the banking ones where you get the cash back, and they tend to come through faster than that, but it's 20 quid. So that, again, will help towards whatever I've overspent on, switching and all that sort of thing. So in actual fact, that's 2 things I've done which I've never done. One is I have gone into a fix, and that fix will now be until the end of November next year. And because of the way my rent went up this year, I feel fairly sure that whatever my rent rises next year, I will be able to afford it because it's been such an incremental rise this year. So I felt more confident with that. Plus, it's only a month from when my tenancy would end to when the end of the fix would end. So 20th of October to the 28th of November. So that's not too bad. And the other thing that I've never done is I've never gone with one of the big energy suppliers. Never. I've always been with small energy suppliers. and I've never had a fix before. So 2 things, and I feel really happy about that. They have a really good app. Outfox, I don't think ever had an app for meter readings and the energy account. I should do it on the website, which is fine. But I have this little app now for Eon, and it looks really good because it's telling me what's coming up. It's telling me what's happened. I'll know what my payments will be before they come out. But it's on an app, and I quite like that. So I've done something new, and that's good. And now my direct debits are going to go from £50 to £37.96. And that makes me very happy. Now I've just got to keep my energy usage in line with that to make sure that direct debit doesn't change. The direct debit can change if I do use a bit more, like particularly I've joined at a weird time, so normally this would be a very bad time to start with a new supplier and start again from scratch because it's winter, it's the most expensive time of the year, you're using more energy. But if I could keep everything as it is now, there's bound to be some points over the winter where I have to put the heating on. The gas is the cheapest, and I think I've added here the comparison for, if I can find it, the comparison for how the prices are different between Outfox and Eon. So I've just got to keep, that's how the prices are. So I'm going to save, what is it, I think it's £94 a year by doing this. So wait for those first bills to come through, and then I'll know exactly how much money I have cashed back in. And I will do a bit more about that on probably on my audit. You'll probably see the audit before you see this. So this little bit might appear on my audit because instead of saying the same thing over again, it's easy to slot this in. So you might see this twice. If you only watch the audits, you'll be seeing this here, hi. And if you don't watch the audits, you're still seeing it here, so hi. So I'm going to go, it's really cold. It's about -1. This is our last minus overnight for a while. We're going to get it's going to be 14 degrees tomorrow. It's suddenly going to go from 6 or 7 degrees during the day to 14. So I'm looking forward to that. So I'm going to go and make breakfast. I've got a hot cup of tea on the go. And let's get on with Wednesday. Noticed something in my passenger seat. I have brought home a DIY project. So over the last weekend, the gentleman who I clean for, so the elderly couple, he fell. He's falling more now that his knees are almost completely unusable, and he fell in the kitchen and fell against one of the kitchen cupboard doors and completely took out the inside panel. Smashed. Well, the actual inside panel is relatively okay, but all the structure around it that held it into the frame is like splintered and what have you. And he was going to try and get somebody in to fix it, and I thought, well, no one's going to want to come in and fix one panel. It's a nightmare trying to get people to do things like that. They said they thought they had someone who's a friend of their daughter's, but he's off sick. So, and I was looking at this door just sitting there with the middle out of it, and I said, I'll do it. So I've taken it off the hinges and I laid it out on their table and had a look at it. And then I thought, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. Bits need to be glued in a certain order before they can be fitted into the rest of the panel. So I said, why don't I just take it home and do it at home? It'd be much easier. So I've bought some strong wood glue, and I'm just going to do it at home. And instead of like doing it at theirs and being able to glue one piece when I'm there on a Monday, glue another piece when I'm there on a Wednesday, then glue another piece the next Monday, it's going to take weeks and weeks. If I do it at home, then I can kind of do a little bit every day until it's done. So I brought that home, and I had to do another little DIY project last week because he had another fall, and he was at the stairs and he grabbed the handle of the stair lift and ripped the casing off the handle. And when I was there, I was like, what happened to this? And the casing was off, and was on the floor where it fell because no one can get down to pick it up because everyone's pretty much housebound and chairbound now. It's getting really bad. And all the wiring was hanging out of the handle because it's a handle that would have had like a button on it. It doesn't stop them using the stair lift, but you can't just have wires hanging out. They're going to get electrocuted or something. So that was an easy fix because the casing, the screw that holds the casing on was snapped, but the actual casing was intact. So the casing fitted back on where it had come from, and he had some masking tape, big roll of masking tape in the cupboard, and I've just fixed it with that, and it's fine. It does the job. He said that this year he decided not to renew the insurance on the stair lift, so they're not going to get that fixed. So little projects, little challenges. So this door, I hope I can fix it. It should be fixable. It's just doing it in the right order and being able to get all the bits to fix back together again. The way the wood has splintered, it's a bit of a challenge. But it'd be good to get that back on again because it's just one thing after another. Somebody falls and something gets broken or damaged, and you're constantly having to fix things, and it's like no one else will do anything. So they have family come round and nobody does anything. If I didn't go round there, I don't know what the situation would be because they desperately need the help. They really need someone to come in every day, like a carer to come in, but they can't afford it. So when I'm there now, I'm doing the breakfast in the morning when I get there. It's late breakfast, but I'm doing the breakfast and make them drinks and things. I could fit that in because the 2-hour blocks that I have are more than I need to get everything done. I don't have to rush. So I'm doing laundry, I'm doing food, I'm doing the shopping and then packing the shopping and what have you, which is fine because it all gets fitted in, and anything that doesn't fit in, they're paying me extra to do. And they'd probably have to pay a carer like 5 times what they're charging me, and I don't mind because it's extra money. I don't mind at all. So that's me done for the day. I did my Wednesday clean last night, which means I don't have to go out again, which is great because it looks like it's going to rain. I've got to get some washing on. I can start this little wood project. We're good to go. So here is part 1 of my repair job. This is the inner panel. First thing I need to do is get this to stick back where it came from, and then that'll be pretty much the panel intact. So I've got to stick that and get that to stay in place, and then at the other end here you can see where that has also partially split. So that's the first bit I need to do. If I can turn this into one complete panel, then I can start to get a feel for the other bits that need doing. So on the back, back's all right. There are other pieces that belong to the outer section, the frame that goes around the outside. So first of all, I'm going to stick this to this and let that dry. That's my first priority. Then I'm going to reinforce this with glue and stick that back together again, and then that'll give me something to work with. Okay, so it's now the next day. I have managed to stabilize this strip of wood that I've stuck on here. It's not perfect, but it should give me enough leverage to get it back into the frame. This other side I didn't realise had a massive crack down just to here, from here, so I've stabilised that as well. So I'm hoping that that will now fit into the frame. So let me just get rid of this a moment. Here is the frame. It's pretty big, so it can't fit on the whole thing. You can see some of the damage here up the top here. I've got those pieces still. That strip has pulled out. There's like a channel beneath here, which is what that middle piece slips into. It's snapped on this side. It's almost completely snapped on this side, but this might actually enable me to get the panel back inside. I tried when I was over at theirs to get this piece back in and it wouldn't go, but there were some panel pins which they had used to secure the frame, which I hadn't been able to get out at the time. Now I have made alterations to this, and this is not quite flush, it's not perfect. I'm hoping that once I've got it in place I can force it into where it's supposed to be. So I think I'm going to struggle to get this in without snapping this piece, but we'll have a go. I'd rather not have to. I think I'm going to have to break this corner because this is making it really difficult to get this side in. I mean, it's all broken anyway, so I don't think it's really going to make a lot of difference at this stage. So that piece slots in there, and then theoretically, see, this doesn't want to go. Oh, I don't know. There we go. It's probably broken this again, but it's stabilised it enough to get in. Because it was separate pieces before, I couldn't slot that into there. See, now that's in, I can now glue heavily underneath there and push that in place. This is now fitting where it's supposed to be. I might have to just lose that little bit there. That's not going to go in. It's done all sorts of strange things to the wood, but I think we're pretty good actually. So let's see if we can have a look at it from the other side. And now you can see how that used to look. It's not going to be ideal. That crack, I think, is forever going to be there. I will see if I can. I don't think it's going to improve. What I'll do, I'll run a glue line along there to support that, and it's still going to look better than it was. At least it's all back in place now. So it's not too bad actually. At least I'll have a door back. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run a glue line underneath this section here all the way as much as I can, and then we'll stabilise that side. We've got some weights to put on that. I have, and then obviously I have this bit which I will glue and weight that, and then we will stick this over the top. I think it goes that way round, but again we're just going to have to play with this and see how it all looks, because it's all a bit of a mess. I mean, at least this is only the inside, that's the good bit. What else have we got? We have this bit which goes along here, so that will secure that back into place. And then we have, not all, I don't know if this is all of it actually. No, we've lost some bits here which clearly shattered. I think that's... I don't know if that should be flush at the top rather than the bottom. There's a lot of gap there. Anyway, that somehow will go on there. Yeah, it goes on like that in some form or another. A bit hard to tell where it's supposed to go. I think it goes something like that. I don't know that this is going to go back in where it's supposed to be, because that wood is ruined. But we'll have to stick as much as we can. The glue is pretty good actually. I only bought a cheap £2 glue from Poundland, and it stuck this pretty well actually. I was quite impressed. So I'm going to do what I can. Thankfully, all the damage that's still going to be visible will be on the inside. So I'm going to whack a nice thick glue line underneath this. We'll weight this and let this glue, and then we'll work on the next bit. So here's our glue. This is what I bought from Poundland. It's £2. It looks pretty good. So I'm going to get the glue in wherever I can. It's not going to go all the way up, because it won't fit. The good thing is that once this glue's in place, you can wipe it clean and it dries clear, which is really helpful. So it's not going to look that messy, even if you end up with lots of over glue. Right, that'll do for that. Push that down. Get a nice thick glue line running all the way down there. How much you can see. It's a very tight space to work on. I don't really have any room to do this. So that's that. And then we can clear some of that overspill a bit. And then I'm just going to pop a couple of weights on here. That'll hold it down, and that should do the job. So that's that. I'm going to let that dry and then come back and do the other side. So I have completed all the other bits of wood. This is the last bit I have. Now, I don't know what happened to any of this. I didn't see this when I was there. I'll have a look when I get there, because it might be that it's ended up in the, it's ended up underneath the fridge or something, because I think bits of wood flew everywhere. There were shards of wood on the floor, which of course have been hoovered up, and it's not all quite fitting as it should, not surprisingly, but we are doing our best. So I'm going to put this bit on. This is really cosmetic more than anything. It doesn't really do anything else, but I'm going to fit it in anyway as best as I can. I'm going to glue it and then weight it down, and we'll add that bit. And then I'm just going to go all the way along these cracks that are still there and fill them with glue just to make sure they're strong. And that is really the best I can do on this. This is the inside, so it's not as bad. So on the outside, the side that you see is going to be a lot better. It looks smarter. So I'm just going to put a load of glue on here. And where are we going to put the glue up to? About there. And we need to glue this bit down, which doesn't really fit anymore. I think some of the wood has been bent out of line as well, because nothing quite fits the way it should do. But we are doing our best, because it's knackered, right? Right, there we go. That'll do for now. So we're going to try and get this to fit as close as possible to the original break, which is like that. weight it. It's really difficult to make anything fit when it's shards of wood like this. But hopefully... Yeah, it's such a mess. We can only do what we can do. Put the heavy one on that. It's warped, it's bent, so it's just not going to stay as it should. Right, so that's that bit done. And now we'll just let that bit dry and then we'll reassess anything else that needs doing. So, here we are. Fixed. About as fixed it's going to get, to be honest with you. You can see it. You can still see the cracks if you look. You might not be able to see it on that, but they're glue filled, so they're stabilised. The back isn't quite so good. Bottom's not too bad. That top bit is a mess because there are bits of wood that I just never got. I'm going to have a look when I go tomorrow and take this back, because bits might have ended up underneath the fridge freezer. There's a gap under there, so there might be pieces, but there were some shards of wood that got hoovered up when I was there on Wednesday, because they were just shards, and I'm not going to stick those back in. But it's solid. The structure's in place, so little job done. And I think that's pretty good, actually. It'll do the job. It'll save them some money. So here we are again, another Monday morning, taking the door back today to refit that back into the kitchen. I'm going to Sainsbury's first. I've had a small shopping list from the couple that I cleaned for. They want a few things, so that's fine. And I need a few things for me. I have no fresh veg at home at all. I used the last of it on Saturday. And made a big old casserole. Got 4 meals out of it. I put 2 in the freezer and I had 2. It was a bit of a mix and match. It was the veg I had left that needed to be used, plus some meat in the freezer that I can't really remember what it was. I think that it was hearts or something like that. It was the sort of thing I don't normally buy, and I bought 2 packs of it a while ago and put it all in the freezer because it's the sort of thing that goes well in casseroles. I like all that weird stuff, so you know, when I was a kid, Mum used to cook us liver and bacon and mashed potatoes and that sort of thing. I love all that stuff, so I'm fine with that. So I had that for a couple of lunches and have 2 in the freezer, and now I have nothing left. So I'm going to Sainsbury's today to pick up some veg for me with nectar points, and I'm going to buy their food and earn points from the nectar points, if that makes sense. It's a bit wet and rainy today, but temperatures are up. It's something like 13 or 14 degrees today, which is so much warmer than it was yesterday. It's so cold yesterday, so I am very happy about that. I think we've had a lot of rain overnight. There's a lot of flooding here at the moment, so let's get on and do that. Tomorrow I'm going to go back to Sainsbury's because I need to buy the last of my nectar points, Christmas presents and all the cards and things. I don't want to do it today. I haven't got time. I want to browse and take my time. I don't like being rushed with things like that. So I'm going to come back and do that as a separate shop tomorrow so that I can take my time. So here we are. Arrived at Sainsbury. Let's get this done. Catch you later. Okay, so cleaning done, door reinstalled, etc. Shopping done. I did a bit of shopping for myself. Got a few bits just to get you through until, well, I mean, I'm going to go back. I'm going to try and go back to Sainsbury tomorrow to get all the present things that I still want to get on Nectar Points. And if I need to top it up to reach a limit, I'll get some more veg then. So all I bought were a 2 kilogram bag of white potatoes. That was £1.32. A 500 gram bag of greens. That was 80p. Celery was 80p. And it said there was a 10p price saving. That came to £2.82. I paid £2.50 with Nectar Points, so that cost me 32p. I have some medical updates, which is interesting. So he has been waiting for a phone call from the doctor to update him on his last set of results, his last checkups, and he's been waiting 2 weeks for this call. He's been really worried because he doesn't know what they're going to say. Is he well enough to go forward, to go for this op? Been really worried about it, and that's probably why his blood pressure's been higher than it should be. So he's waiting 2 weeks, and he gets the call, and the doctor says, "You're fine, nothing wrong with you." Why couldn't they have told him that 2 weeks ago, instead of saying the doctor wants to talk to you, which is always a worrying thing, because that sounds like, oh, there's something that needs to be said. And then he just said, "You're fine, you're absolutely fine for the op, no problem." Why the hell couldn't they have told him that on the phone? At least have said, the doctor wants to talk to you, but don't worry, everything's fine. What is the matter with these people? He's been sitting there really worried about this. Anyway, so he's now got another final meeting at the hospital where he's having the op on Wednesday, and that's to meet the anaesthetist, and they'll probably, I think, it's only a half-hour meeting. Why they couldn't do that on the phone as well, I don't know, because it's a long drive to get there because the hospital isn't local. So his son's had to take the day off work to take him up there. Anyway, so hopefully after that, he's just waiting for a date then. It's supposed to be November, it's not being November. I can see this dragging on into the new year. You can never tell with these things. But also, there was an update on her and all her falls and things like that. So she has epilepsy and has been on epilepsy drugs, let's say, of varying kinds for, say, 70 years, since she was a child. She's now 80. And they've had her on loads and loads of drugs, and the drugs get changed and all this sort of thing, and they keep saying, well, the falls are just the way you are, you're just going to have to lump it. And then she's finally seen like a new doctor who seems a bit more proactive. So the doctors that they often have are a little bit like, well, you're just going to have to get on with it and stop complaining. And he gets treated like that as well. His knees are incredibly bad. He's up to his eyeballs on tramadol because he can't cope with the pain. And all they keep telling him is that he should be taking less tramadol. Which is great if you're not taking tramadol for relentless pain because your knees have basically failed. Anyway, so she had a doctor's or a hospital visit a few weeks ago, and he did some tests, and it seems that her brain isn't communicating properly with her feet, because he did some movement things on her feet and she couldn't tell what he was doing. So she's now had a letter through with an update of what he thinks it is, and it turns out that he thinks she has something called Wilson's disease. Now, I looked it up because it was explained to them that it's to do with perception of space. That the reason she is falling is that she's lost that perception of space. It's not dementia. It's not. Some people thought that she might have Parkinson's. It's not that. It's not Alzheimer's. It's not anything like that. It's a perception of space. So I've looked it up, and Wilson's is a bit more complicated than that. But there is a bit where it says about
something to do with physical environment. I'll put it up here so you can read the symptoms that I was looking at, and apparently that's what it is, and there's nothing they can do anyway. So at the moment they are both housebound, they are practically chair-bound, they are all pretty much unable to do anything. Hopefully if he gets his knee up, he'll have one good leg. It takes a year for it to fully recover, and then he'll have the other one done. So he's got quite a long way to go. But if he has one good leg, he's going to be a bit more mobile, because then at least he can use the frame easier if he's got a stronger leg, because it'll take the weight of the other one. So lots to get through. So that's my Monday over with. I'm probably going to go over the road to Morrison's this evening, because why not? I have gaps in the fridge that could do with being filled, and it doesn't mean that I'm going to find anything, but it's only over the road, so we'll go and do that. It's really rainy today, but it's warmer, which is really good. I don't mind if it rains if it's warm. It's the cold that gets me. So let's head home, do a little bit of light lunch. It's now 1:10. So I'm going to end this post here, I think, and if I do go to Morrison's this evening, I'll put that on the beginning of my next weekly video, because I've got quite enough on here. I think we're okay. So thank you for watching, for liking the videos, for the comments, and I will catch you on the next one.